Very shortly, we'll be moving to our second country ambassador. For those of you who were at the event yesterday, you will remember Khem unfortunately had some technical difficulties. If you're looking at the program, you will see that we originally had scheduled Axel Schulze, founder of the World Innovations Forum, for a short talk today. He will be doing that, of course, but at a bit later. He's got a second slot as well. And so now we'd like to move over to Khem's presentation. Khem Lakai, the country ambassador from Nepal. Briefly about Khem, he's the founder and CEO of the Global Academy of Tourism and Hospitality Education, also known as GATE. And he has successfully educated and trained over 4,000 students from Nepal and 19 other nationalities since 2007. Khem has been advisor to the National Vocational Qualification System, one of the Swiss-funded initiatives of the Ministry of Education in Nepal, and he regularly mentors Nepal's Emerging Leaders Program in vocational education since 2017. So good morning to, or I should say probably good afternoon to Khem, good afternoon to Nepal. How are you?
Good afternoon, Douglas. Am I audible?
You are audible and you are visible, and we see your Embassy of Switzerland in Nepal tab with information about the lockdown.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, so you're also getting my screen, so that means I'll quickly jump on and then
sure.
Switch on my my presentation.
Sure. So briefly, you're going to be presenting for 20 minutes, or shall I stay on for a short Q&A afterwards?
That's fine. I mean, Q&A we'll divide it as it goes.
Sounds good. So I will hand the floor over to you for your presentation, and then I'll be popping up sooner when you're done. Okay.
Very good. Once again, good morning, good afternoon, wherever the part of the world you're in right now. What I would like to start with is Nepal. When you hear Nepal, there's certain things comes in your mind. It's about the mountains. Of course, we have 8 highest mountain among the 14 in the world, and then beautiful nature. And some people think about Buddha, compassion, Yeti, Sherpa, all of this. It's an exciting country with exciting diversity. But then nobody would relate this if this is a country prepared for a next level of growth, you know, and then what that next level of growth is, what innovation comes from Nepal. But if I tell you one thing, that there is the contact lens that produces and being distributed in 50 countries is the most economic contact lens that you can buy. We export to 50 different countries that cost only $4. Then people wouldn't know much about this. So this innovation and Nepal, I would like to highlight on what's going on in the country. Of course, our primary resources of growth is tourism industry, and tourism is the #1 resources that we get the foreign income. But then since past 2 decades, we have 3 major regime change. So we become a democratic republic. And whenever there is a transition in government, of course, there are hiccups, there are policies, there are things, and people have aspiration. And then when that aspiration is not met, then they quickly make headline, whether that is social injustice, whether there are incidents of corruption or what. I mean, already Eunice mentioned that. I mean, somehow those are also not an exception. But what I would like to share that in Nepal has moved forward and then has done a tremendous progress, and then at least have started in the field of technology, in the field of education and renewable energy. We've got gorgeous rivers that are tapped. Once, just 5 years back, we used to have 14 to 18 hours of load shedding. Now we are selling our electricity, and we're discussing about how do we export our electricity to Bangladesh, to India. And so 5 years is a very small time, but look at the progress that Nepal has made. In healthcare, if you see the ranking in eye health, it comes under one of the top countries in the world. And agriculture, of course, that was rather tragic that during this past 2 decades, when the government was in transition and we had armed conflict, and many young people had to go abroad, primarily to Middle East for menial job, and agriculture was in a shadow. But look at this opportunity right now after the COVID-19. I would get organic, certified organic vegetable in my doorstep 3 times cheaper than what I used to pay prior to COVID. So people, young people have quickly moved on to e-commerce. They have a delivery service. Restaurants are doing the deliveries. And besides, what is staggering is that manufacturer, because if you manufacture something, if somebody comes and invests something, the export tax is lifted by many European nations. So if you are thinking of manufacturing something, Nepal could be a next destination. And then why? If you see our data for past few years, our GDP is stable or on the rise. I'm pretty sure that this year is an exception. And then we have a favorable policies, and we have got different international laws activated at the moment. And then infrastructure development is at large. We've got renewable energy, solar energy, hydroelectric project, roads, tunnels, waste management. These are the area of opportunity. And whereas the impact investors would get the quick visible return. And in fostering entrepreneurship, there are a number of small accelerators, startups, incubation centers. We've got, at least primarily in principle, government has got this in radar. And then many women entrepreneurs are really on rise. If you were following yesterday, Dr. Pratima was there, and then one of the roundtable we did last year was all 5 top doctorate, top specialists, data scientists, biotech specialists, and education specialists. Those who are educated abroad are choosing to come back and contribute something to this nation, which never happened before. And so what happened is that's one of the initiative what we did as a hospitality college. It's easy to bring everyone together, and then we did a number of program bringing those top achievers in a Yale University. If you see this photo, Dr. Navin Koirala was a celebrated researcher who just researched on a Parkinson disease solution, came back and he lends his support and his mentorship to other aspiring young people. This is very refreshing. And as you see that Nepal's land diversity, it starts from, you have a tropical weather to all the way to Mount Everest, and needless to say that the Mount Everest is the highest peak in the world. And then for a mountaineer, it's like a Mecca. You want to go to the mountain, but the top mountains. And we've got the excellent trekking routes. If you say Annapurna, that comes 4th most beautiful trekking routes on earth. And then, there are a number of professor, researcher who are working in London, who are working in Canberra. They are coming back. And then, after this COVID, what happens is that if we only focus on our infrastructure and then accessibility, Nepal would be a hot destination for well-being. It's almost, people consider that it's also a spiritual headquarters, where we have a very tolerant society and diversity, where Buddha was born. And then Buddha sometimes it's not a religion, it's a way of life, and people come to meditate, and people come to get close to the nature. And this is what I can highlight. And one of the program, what we did recently, we had Professor Manoj, who developed massive automation on apple picking, robotic in the United States. And then he came back and he mentored how Nepal can leverage on this technology and AI driven technology so that we get the maximum out of our land. You know, mostly we have agricultural land, those are untouched, organic, and that's the trend. And as we know that after this crisis, health is the new wealth. And then people would love to go to the destination where you have still the untouched nature. Another example, see that bridge between engineering and neuroscience. Such sessions, such mentors are coming and lending their support to the young generation so they can replicate their pathways. And another one recently in machine learning, we have had another session with another Nepalese, which is super successful abroad and wanting to come to this country and then mentor other who are pursuing this future. And before I take on to the question and answer, of course, they say that we adopt this Buddhism philosophy that the mind is everything, everything you become. We had this narrative of Nepal as a poor country and country that is landlocked. And then I had an opportunity to spend 4 years in Switzerland studying. And then for me, a landlocked had nothing to do with your progress and success. And then gradually people have just learned. I mean, I still remember when Michael Vaz made a presentation on the first day. You know, you tell mind and mind believes. So those narratives are gradually changing, and then we have now educated enough people that those notion of being a landlocked country is a course. Actually not, because we have India and China on our north and south, and almost 36% of the world population. Where would you find such a big market? You know, if you have a product, you have China on the north and then India on the south. That's a tremendous opportunity. And having said that, one little story that I would like to highlight. You know, one time I was in a Doha airport, and then if you're spending time and you go to the store and you see that there was a camel milk chocolate, but then camel milk chocolate was 3 times more expensive than the Lindt right there in the Swiss top chocolate. And I asked the guy, why is it so expensive? And he bluntly replied me that, well, I mean, do you get camel everywhere around the world? This is not a common thing, so it costs money. And then that was an inspiration for me. And then when I came back and learned about what is that kind of special thing in Nepal, and I realized that yak, we have got the mountain cows, we call it yak, although the female yak is called nak. And so there people were herding those yak. Because there is less and less cash opportunity, people chose to abandon that profession and go to Middle East for cash. And then this has got very huge environmental impact, because if you don't protect those beasts in the mountain, they have got an environmental reason, they belong there. And so what can we do? We developed a yak milk chocolate. And then we even had a big hospitality deans conference, and then the most connoisseur about the hospitality industry loved it, because it's the creamy, rich texture is just perfect for the chocolate making. And so this is how we inspire the new generation. We have got number of co-working spaces. Those people who were really top-class scientists returned back to Nepal, and now we have something called National Research Alliance. We have something called National Innovation Center, and government has now eye on it, and they understand fully, although we have limitation on resources. But then nobody would be surprised that, okay, why do we need to fund on the startup? All those resources are limited, but then now this is not a new world. And then similarly, what is happening right now is that there's an institution called NAMI, and it's those bright scholars who have taught, who have learned from the top universities around the world, have come back together and then put up a center, and they did a winter school. And we had students coming to Nepal from 20 different nationalities, and then including the Professor Michael Bronstein from the head of Twitter was here, and then the whole world would like to lend their support. And then what I would like to particularly mention about this is that the founder, chairman, and the co-founder of World Innovation Center, Marita and Axel, they have been here twice. They have run a session with the young people. They have done a live pitching event. And all of a sudden, in this country, this has got a ripple effect. People are, adapting this kind of practices in the university. You have heard Dr. Ramkanta Makaju yesterday speaking, and Kathmandu University has become that society, the community has become a learning lab. And then for us, it's the same thing. In hospitality practice, we are more and more inclined to the digital education in terms of learning what you need to learn, but then giving more hands-on experience and promoting our students for how do we become entrepreneur. What are the entrepreneurial skills? What is the entrepreneurial mindset? And then definitely, yes, I do agree that you cannot just create entrepreneur, but you can ignite this passion, and then you can nurture those required mindset, so that we have more robust economy. And Nepal, in our lifetime, will achieve what World Innovation Forum has envisioned. So, although yes,
Okay, that's an excellent place to end. I'm going to have to interrupt you. I'm terribly sorry, but we are
right,
running up on time. But it's an excellent message. The shout
right.
out to both Marita and Axel for reaching out to you. And as Axel said, either yesterday or the day before, the point of this conference, of course, is bringing the Silicon Valley entrepreneurship mindset to the world rather than having to go there. And I think your message also about Nepal, trying to bring the classrooms to the communities. We saw that yesterday from Kathmandu University, and also your messages today are right in line with that. So thank you very much for your time. We're not going to have any time for the Q&A session, but that's okay. I think you've covered the most important information, and everyone saw Khem's contact details, so feel free to reach out to him over social media and or directly via email. So Khem, thank you very much. Wishing you a
Thank you,
very good
Douglas.
afternoon. Take care of
Same
yourself.
there.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye-bye.